Welcome back to the arcade. As you can see, I have a box in front of me. Yeah, I've been on the dreaded eBay again. Of course, I've had this a while now. I've been dying to open it up. I got this back in July, so yeah, I've had it kind of on the back burner. The box is a little worn for wear because the day it came it was raining and the mailman put it on the edge of the porch, which wasn't under the awning, so it was getting wet, but it shouldn't have affected what's in the box, so no big deal there. So let's go ahead, and of course you already know what it is, but you don't know what we're going to do with it yet. This makes number 3, so if you've seen the other 2 videos on the same subject, you already know what's in the box and what we normally do with them. So let's see what fate we're going to bestow on this one. So first thing we need to do is just get this box open. And see what we got. I could have a box of bricks for all I know. All right. Well, it's looking good so far. The big bubble wrap. Always fun to open. Find out where the tape is, and where to cut it. Definitely well packed. I've had pretty good luck at people packing things that I buy. They always seem to pack them up pretty good, so. All right. Put that out the way. More tape. This foam rips pretty good. Well, obviously it's a Bally computer system. It's in unknown condition. However, it does come with the Bally basic cartridge. But I'm a little taken back here. I might have to look at the eBay auction, because I could have swore this was supposed to have 2 controllers with it. I see no controllers. And it was supposed to have, I believe, the RF switch box, which this doesn't have. So I'm wondering what I got, what I should have gotten, what I actually got. Oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone. Here we go. This was hiding in the box. I didn't even see it. There we go. 2 controllers and the Bally antenna switch box. Yep, there we go. This, for people that, you youngsters, probably have never seen one of these. Back in the day, our televisions had, what was it, 300 ohm twin lead antenna wires instead of the coaxial cable. So you would connect this with 2 screws to the antenna connection on the back of your TV, and then you would connect your antenna leads here, and this switch in this position, the antenna would go straight to the TV, and when you flip this up, it would connect the game RF input into your TV. So yeah, like I say, a whole lot of people probably have never seen these, but and this one still got the sticker on the back where it was never used. This had a double-sided tape on it where you could peel it off and stick it to the back of your television. But we're not going to use that because I don't believe I have a television around here that still has the twin lead connections on it. But it's nice to have. Instead, it has this RCA type jack right here. That is the RF input to your TV. And I think I got a solution for that, but we'll have to see. And of course, this is set up like the old, just like the old TAR 2600. It had a switch on it where you could flip it between channel 3 and channel 4. And this is the switch right here. And the reason they had 2 channels on most of them, in some areas, around here in my area, we had a television channel on channel 3. So it would if you used it on channel 3, the over-the-air signal would bleed into the system. So you'd put it on channel 4 because we didn't have a television station broadcasting on channel 4. And in some areas, they didn't have a channel 3 and they might have had a channel 4. So depending on where you were and what channels the over-the-air television signal was, I'm pretty sure they never had 2 channels in an area right next to each other. So that's why, you know, they split it up between channel 3 and channel 4. So they would cover all the bases on that. Okay, so what are we going to do with this? Okay, well, here's the power transformer for power. It must have been used fairly recently, I would think, because it's got these Velcro straps on it. Let's take a quick look at these controllers and see what kind of shape they're in. Well, it feels good. Doesn't appear to be any frayed wires on that one. A lot of times these controllers, right here on the bottom, the wires would break because that's where everybody would sort of hold them in their lap, and the wires would get bent a whole lot right there on the grip. But these feel good. They don't look like they are in bad shape, but of course we won't know until we try it out. That's right, we're going to try this out. I did not buy this one to harvest the custom chips. If you watched the other 2 videos, I did harvest the custom chips out of the other 2, and I never even tried them to see if they worked because I didn't have any way of hooking it up at the time, and I didn't have any controllers. So yeah, I needed the chips to fix my GORF boards. Now I still need 1 custom chip, but I have 3 spare GORF boards and the set that's in the game. So I got a total of 4 sets of GORF boards. So I don't really need this custom chip. So my intention is to see if this game will power up and see if it still works. And if it does, I'm going to leave it as the Bally computer system game, and we'll probably try to find some games. I don't have any games for it, But it does come, I believe, with 3 built-in games, if you want to call them games. I know one of them is Gunfight, but I don't remember what the others are. I think it's got maybe a chess game, but we're going to find out. So yeah, that's if this works. And if it doesn't work, then we'll go ahead and we'll tear it down, and I'll be able to test the custom chips and find out if the custom chips are good. If the custom chips are good, then I'll go ahead and put them back in, and we'll see if we can figure out what's wrong with it and get it working. But the best case scenario will be we'll just fire this thing up and it'll work. What are the odds? Stick around and find out. Let me go ahead and get set up with the setup that I have kind of put together to try to get this to work. And yeah, we'll check it out. Okay, here is my setup. And you're probably saying, what in the heck is this? Okay, well, first of all, I have a Panasonic computer monitor, portable computer monitor. These are monitors that we used with, I forget the name of the system now, but it was used with like something like a MacBook. They called it some kind of a book, but I don't remember what it was. And you found them in, at least in the state of Virginia, in state police cars. That's the monitor that they used to use in the old police cars. The reason I have this is from my other hobby, doing FPV, flying airplanes with a camera in the airplane. This monitor has a 1000 nit brightness, so that you can actually have this out in the sunlight and actually view the monitor. So that's why I have this. It just so happens that I have it set up to where you can put a composite video signal into it, and it'll display. And it also has stereo speakers, so you have a right and a left channel. So I went ahead and hooked the input to a old Panasonic VHS tape player, VCR. And the reason I did that is because it has an old NTSC tuner, to where hopefully we'll be able to put the input into the VCR on either channel 2 or channel 3. Let's see what I got it set up for here. I got set up for channel 3. I think we'll be okay, because we do have a channel 3 station in the area, but they're all digital now, and I don't think they even broadcast on channel 3 anymore. The television stations, I believe the lower stations, they now use those for cell phones. Another wonderful thing our FCC did. But anyway, okay. So here's the theory in operation. We turn this on, it outputs channel 3. We turn the VCR on, get it to display channel 3, and we got it passed through to the TV or the audio video output, which will go into the monitor, and hopefully we'll get a picture if it works. So let's give it a try. First, I'll cut the monitor on. Okay, now let's see. Let me cut the video game on, and so we'll have a channel 3 signal. Now I'll turn the VCR on, and I got to power the VCR. Well, looky there, we got something, but it ain't looking all that good. Let's see, what channel are we on? Might not be on the correct channel. Let me go down. It's doing the channel. Gotta wait for this. I don't have the remote control to this VCR, so I can't just input the channel direct. It's doing a channel search, so I'll probably pause it while it does this, and we'll be back when it's finished, and we'll see what happens. Okay, well, looks like that is the picture we're getting. That don't look very good, does it? All right, let me see if it's just a bad connection here. I think the problem is in this coax where it hooks into the VCR. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, that's channel 3. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to find another piece of coax. I think there's something wrong with that. Okay, let me regroup and see what I can figure out. Okay, well, I was right. It was this piece of coax cable was bad, so I put a new piece of coax on there. Unfortunately, now that we turn it on, we get a blank screen. And if I put the basic cartridge in and hit the reset, that's what we get. So, it looks like we have a non-working game. Matter of fact, it looks like it's resetting right now. Well, I don't know what it's doing now. Let me hit the reset again. Okay. That's pretty consistent. Now, if I eject the basic cartridge, it just puts some more garbage up there. Hit the reset. Not a whole lot of change, just a little bit. Now, earlier I was getting some colors on here before I changed that cable. I can't seem to get that now. It doesn't seem to want to come up when I just turn it on without anything in it. If I hit the reset, it doesn't do anything. So I don't know, could this be a power supply issue? It's possible. There are capacitors in this thing that people say need to be replaced. So it could need capacitors. Could be bad custom chips too. Or somebody could have robbed the custom chips already. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's been in it. So that's the next step. We're going to go ahead and pull it down, take a look inside, see if it looks like anybody's ever been in it. Check the voltages. I do have a set of schematics for this thing, so we can do either do some troubleshooting. It could be the custom sockets, or the custom chips are in sockets. Could be dirty sockets. It could be a number of things. So I think what we'll probably do is first just go ahead and disassemble it, take a look at it, see what it looks like inside, and if we have to, I'll get my GORF test rig back out and we'll pull the custom chips. We'll check the custom chips. If the custom chips are good, then there's a good chance we can get this working. I do have the other 2 units that the custom chips were good in, so it's possible all I have to do is swap in the custom chips on one of the other units and it'll work, because at least one of the other units is in better condition than this one is. Of course, this one might clean up pretty good. It don't look that bad really, but time will tell. So yeah, we'll just have to go from there, because it does have some life, but it's, whoa, did something then. I seen it put game up on there. It looked like it flashed game across there real quick. And it has some sound now. Let me hit reset again. Yeah. I'm just hitting the reset over and over again. Okay, well, that appears all we're going to be able to do. So yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take this thing apart. I'm not going to bore you with taking it apart. If you want to see how one comes apart, check out one of my other 2 videos, because I actually show the tear down and what you got to do to take it apart to get inside. So I'm going to go ahead and tear it down and get inside, and we'll take a look and we'll see what we got. Okay, well, I'm back, and as you can see, I went back to my GORF test setup, and I went ahead and I took the Astrocade apart, and I took the custom chips off, and I went ahead and put them on the board here, and as you can see, the game is up and running. So the custom, let's see, address chip and the custom data chip are both working. And I also have already tested the I/O chip. So all 3 chips in this Astrocade work, but the game doesn't work. Also, after I pulled the chips, I went ahead and checked the power supply, and it appears the power supply is working. So something is awry in this game. It could, I guess, be the bad RAM here. 4027 RAMs. They're soldered in, so I'd have to unsolder them to check those. But the thing is, this particular game it will probably clean up pretty good, but the keypad doesn't feel right. Some of the keys feel like they're working right, but some of them just don't feel right. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this one aside, and I'm going to get one of my other 2, probably the second one that I got, because that was complete and had the screws in it when I got it. It supposedly was tested and not working, but you know how that goes. But all 3 of the custom chips were good in that one also. The first one that I did, if you go back and look at the videos, when I got it, it already had the screws out of it. All three custom chips were in the game, and all three chips were good. But I never tried either one of the two games, so I don't really know if they actually worked or not. So let's go ahead and I'll set this one aside, and let's get the number 2 console that I got, that's in video number 2, and let's put that here, and we'll take a look at it and see what kind of condition it's in. And we may put the custom chips in it, hook the power up to it, and give it a try. Alright, well, this one does appear to look much nicer than the other one, and more importantly, the buttons on the keypad, they all seem to work. They all have the same feel to them, so I believe this keypad is probably in better condition. So let's go ahead, and I never put the screws back in it, I don't believe, no, so let's go ahead and take it down. Let's see. Yeah, I just stuck this back together kind of quick like, but I kept everything. All right, yeah, let me get this out. Okay, wonder if I should check the voltage before I put the chips in. That would probably be a good idea, wouldn't it? All right. Now, I remember from the other one I put a little sticker on here so I know which way this would go. And I do remember the white went towards the board and the black went towards the out. This is the AC transformer. It puts AC voltage into, this is an RF filter, and it goes from this RF filter into the board, and it has all its rectifier diodes and let's see, no, I believe this is, which one is this? Yeah, that's it. That's the right one. All right. Not a very tight fit there. All right. Let's go ahead and plug this in. This has 11.5 volts AC and 7.5 volts AC with a center tap on each one. That's why it's got 4 wires. Alright, I'm going to unplug this. I don't need this one right now. Okay, power is plugged in. Well, let me lift this up and bend it over out the way real gently. This is the power supply section. These are the voltage regulators. So, it doesn't have any real test points, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to test across the capacitors and see what voltages I get. Let's see, which way is on? On is out towards the edge. Okay, it is on. We have power to it. Let's see what we get here. Well, everything seems to be close enough. So let's go ahead and put the chips in. Alright, the data chip goes here. That's the one with the heat sink. And I'm pretty sure they all go in this direction, even though it doesn't have an indicator on the board. But I do remember which way it was, so. How I remember, the shield had another little heat sink on the shield that came over and set on this heat sink, and it's got this little square area that had heat sink compound on it, so I know that's in the right orientation. Alright, we can now put this back down in place. I'm not going to put any screws in it yet. There we go. All right. Now, which chip goes where here? I don't remember. Let me go get the data sheet on this and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I ran off the sheet here and figured out which chip is which. This one right up here is the custom I/O chip 117, and this one is the custom address chip 115. And of course the data chip is a 116. That's the one with the heat sink. We already put that in. So this is how the board is set up. So let's do the custom address chip 115, and this is it right here, 115. And this is the notch. Notch goes in this end. So put that one in, and then this is the custom I/O chip 117, notch on this end. They're spread out a little bit. Let's try that again. Much better. Okay, we now got all the chips in. Now we need to hook up the RF module. And I'm going to use the RF module that came with this particular one. And again, we got it set for channel 3. And this just plugs in right here. I think it'll hold itself up. And don't really need that, but okay. Now what I got to do, I need the VCR because this doesn't have composite output. So let me set that all up and we'll come back and we'll apply power and we'll see if we have a working game. Okay, well, I got it all set up. Everything's hooked up. I decided since I already had my little DVD player out here, I'll just use that as the monitor. The other setup would work, but it's big and bulky, and I don't have a whole lot of room here on the table, so I decided to go with that. I got the VCR hooked up. The RF from the RF unit is going into the coaxial cable, which is going into the antenna input of the VCR. If the VCR, we switch it to channel 3, which this is switched to channel 3, it should send the signal out the video output of the VCR and into the composite video and the audio of the DVD player. So, power's hooked up here. RF is hooked up. Haven't hooked any joysticks up to it yet. So, let's go ahead and, let's see, power it up. First we'll power the VCR up. Okay, and let me turn the VCR on. Okay, we're on channel 3. That's a good start. Alright, now let me hit the power to the console. 1, 2, 3. Are we going to have a working game? Boom. Okay, that looks good because that's normal from what I've been reading about the Bally system. You have to hit the reset a lot of times. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. All right, I think that is working now. We have game select. We have 1 is gunfight, 2 is checkmate, 3 is a calculator, and 3 is scrabbling. I think scrabbling is a drawing game, if you want to call it that. You just can draw lines all over the screen. But let's see. I haven't really read up on how this thing works. So I don't really know how you choose a game. Do you just hit the number on the keypad? Enter a number of players. Alright, well, let's just hit 1. Oh, it said 4. That's no good. Let's see. Gunfight, enter max score. See, I don't know anything about this game. Let's say 6. No, that was 9. Keypad is upside down. Whoops. Well, that ain't no good. I'm going to have to turn this thing around so I can see the keypad. Let's see. 1, enter max score. Clear 1. Hit 11. I must have double clicked it. And so where is the enter? The equal. Okay, there we go. Huh. Okay. Can't do nothing without the joysticks. Let me get the joysticks. Let me go ahead and shut it down. And be right back when I find the joysticks. Okay, well, I got player 1 joystick and player 2 joystick plugged in. This is player 1, this is player 2. So let's turn it back on. Hit the reset. And wonder if you can do this with the controller. No. Okay. Let's hit 1 for gunfight. Enter max score. 1. That ain't what I wanted. The keys are a little sticky. Alright, let's see. One. I did it again. Number of players. I messed up. Maximum score. I hit 4 instead. Well, let's see if it'll go with it. I doubt it, but let's see. Enter. Okay. The pot on the top aims your gun, but we get no fire. We do have up and down. We have left and right, but this joystick we're not getting any fire, so evidently the switch is bad in the joystick here, or it's dirty, needs cleaning. That's understandable. This game is what, 40 years old? Alright, let's try player number 2. Okay, the pot is definitely needs cleaning on this one. See, we can go up, down, right, left, and this one we can shoot, but I don't see the bullet. Maybe that's because of the small screen. I don't know. I just lost all my bullets. I would think you're supposed to be able to see your bullets. Huh. Well, it appears to be working somewhat. But I don't know if it actually is, because I don't see any bullets. Maybe that's got something to do with the number of players I've punched into it. Alright, well, let's try something else. Let's try Checkmate 2. Enter number of games. Alright, I think I just shorted something out there. I think something is overheating, or when I hit this over here, something shorted. Okay, let me regroup and see what's going on here. All right, I'm back, and it turns out that the problem was just a bad connection where the RF module plugs into this Molex connector right here. It just had a dirty connection there. That was the reason the picture was going a little wonky on me. After that, I kind of messed around with it a little bit more, and I got it to where it seems like it's working pretty good. I even got one controller number 2. I got it plugged into port number 1. It's working pretty good. The pot's still a little flaky. I need to take it apart and spray it with some deoxit, but it's good enough to where you can play with it. Then while I was playing a few games, it comes with 4, if you call them games. One is gunfight, and then, well, I'll get to that later. But anyway, when I had it on my DVD player, the little screen on that, I couldn't see any bullets coming from the gun. And I was thinking, you know, what's the cause of that? So I went ahead and hooked it back up to my larger computer monitor, and that fixed that problem. Evidently, that small DVD LCD screen was just so small you couldn't see the bullets, but the bullets are coming out of the gun on the game, so that's not a problem. So it looks like we got a fully working game. But as I was going through the different functions and trying it out, I did come across a problem. The picture, and I didn't get it on video because I was doing this off camera. And I wish I had had it on camera because I can't reproduce it right now. But the picture would start getting a little fuzzy, and then it would start streaking, and then it would just start to fade away. So I cut it off, let it sit for a couple of minutes, turned it back on. It was okay, but it didn't take long. It started doing it again. And I got online, started looking at some YouTube videos, and somebody had posted a YouTube video of their unit doing the exact same thing. And he claimed it's because the unit was overheating. So I got thinking, I said, well, okay, these are, from what I understand, prone to overheating. So I want to kind of narrow it down. What's overheating? Is it the custom chips or something else? So anyway, I tried it again, and I put the RF shield back on it, because the RF shield has this metal bar right here which has thermal paste on it, which hits the heatsink on the data custom chip. So I thought maybe the data custom chip was overheating. So I just laid this back on, and I held it down and made contact with the chip and turned it back on, and it was still overheating. But feeling the chips, all three of the custom chips didn't feel that hot. So I said, well, I don't think it's the custom chips overheating causing the problem. I said, well, maybe it's the RF modulator. Something in that is overheating. So I pulled this off, and I stuck one from the other Astrocade on it, and it did the same thing. It was still showing signs of overheating. So I got feeling around on the board, and right here are the 4 voltage regulators. You have this one right here is the -5 volt regulator. This one right here is the 15 volt regulator. This one here is the 5 volt regulator. And this is, I think it's a tip 32 maybe. Don't quote me on that. I have to look it up. But it's a tip. It's a transistor in the 5 volt regulating circuit. So that's got a large heat sink on it. And then this one right here. This one here is the 10 volt regulator. This one here was getting so hot I couldn't lay my finger on it. If you put your finger right on it, it would burn it. So this is the only thing on the whole board that's getting hot, that 10 volt regulator. I got to thinking, I said, all right, well, let's see, what does the 10 volt regulator power? And I looked the schematics over, and the 10 volt regulator puts the power out for all 3 of the custom chips. So I got thinking, well, that ain't good. So I need to check the voltage on that, but it appears to be working now. I figured I was going to turn it back on and let it start heating up, and I even looked up my can of freeze spray here, and I was going to cool the regulator down to see if the wonkiness would go away. But since I found my can of freeze spray, it hasn't done it again. So now I'm thinking, I said, well, why is it not doing it now? Maybe it's a capacitor. This unit is over 40 years old now, and they do make capacitor cap kits for it. I thought, well, maybe it's a capacitor problem. I know these two capacitors are in the power circuit. But anyway, so I thought I'd just get my ESR meter out and check the capacitors and see if we have any problems. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'll start with these two big ones right here. From what I read online, it's, everybody says you can check all these electrolytic capacitors in circuit with, they just check them with an ohm meter to see if they're shorted. But of course, the ESR meter ought to be able to check them. So this one here is a 1,500 microfarad, and we're showing 2,042 microfarads. ESR is 0.21. I don't really think that's a problem, even though it's showing more capacitance than what it's supposed to be. Yeah, I don't know. If the ESR was higher, I would be more concerned, but or if the microfarads was lower. Anyway, let's move on to this big one here. If I can get an alligator clip on it. All right, this one is a 10,000 microfarad at 10 volt. Okay, and this is reading 7,701 microfarad. ESR is 0.33. Again, the ESR isn't bad, but it's a little low on the capacitance. Okay. But it should still work at that. All right, let's try this one right here. And this one is a 15 microfarad at 25 volts. And I'm getting 29.80 microfarads, ESR of 0.76. So, it's supposed to be 15 and it's at 29. Okay. And this little booger down here is going to be hard to get to. Let's try this one here. Might just have to hold this one on. Leaky in circuit, 0.11 ohms. Do that again. In circuit, leaky. Well, that one might be bad. All right, let's try this one down here. This one says, 2,076 microfarads and 0.51 ESR. All right, what is this one supposed to be? This is supposed to be a 15 microfarad. That's clearly bad too. Of course, it might be because they're in circuit. But yeah, that's way off. Okay. All right, let's try this one here. This one says it's a 15 microfarad at 25 volt. All right, this one is reading 18.60 microfarads, but the ESR is 1.24 ohms. So the ESR is a little bit high on that. All right. Let's try this one down here. Again, they're all in circuit, so that could be have an effect on them. This one is supposed to be a 15 microfarad at 25 volts. And again, it says in circuit leaky 0.76 ohms. All right, let's try this one up here. This one is supposed to be a 1 microfarad at 50 volts. And this one is showing 1.50 microfarads, but the ESR is 4.9 ohms. The ESR seems a little high to me on that. So I would say that, yeah, we need to do a cap kit on this. I think there's one more cap up here. And this one here is 100 microfarad at 16 volts. Let's see what this one comes out to. (103 microfarads). ESR is 5.4 ohms. Even though the capacitance is good, I don't know, is that ESR a little high? I don't know. Well, I would say we'd benefit from a cap kit. Now, whether the caps was causing the overheat problem, maybe the capacitors, is it possible for these electrolytics to reform as you put power to them and use them a little bit? Could they, you know, get a little better? I know sometimes in a monitor, when the caps go bad in a monitor, first turn a monitor on and the picture will be kind of wonky. But after it warms up a little bit, it kind of straightens out and at least works, even though, you know, you need to change the capacitors. So, yeah. I think we come to the conclusion we need to change the capacitors. So I'm going to have to order some. I don't have the capacitors for this. There's one company online that has a cap kit for this. But this uses all axial capacitors, and they sell radial capacitors. They claim to keep the cost down. Well, I'm not worried about the cost, so I'm going to order axial capacitors for this. I already looked them up, and I can get somewhat compatible capacitors that'll work at Arcade Parts and Repair. However, he is on evidently vacation this week, so he won't be back until the day after tomorrow, I think. So I'll just have to get that order in and we'll do a cap kit on it. But until then, I'm going to go ahead and slap this thing back together and try it out and, you know, see what we can come up with on it. And if it starts to overheat, then I'll just cut it off and wait till I get the cap kit, and then we'll investigate and try to figure out what's causing the overheating problem. It was overheating with it just like this, the way I have it right now, you know, with the covers off and everything. So even I had this flipped up so that the heat wasn't contained under the keyboard here. This is right there is the 10-volt regulator that was getting hot. Maybe that 10-volt regulator is going bad. I don't know. That's a possibility. The 10-volt regulator at VR2 is an LM342P-10. VR1 is a 15 volt regulator. That's also an LM342 P15. So obviously the P15 means it's a 15 volt regulator, and a P10 means it's a 10 volt. VR3 is the 5 volt regulator. That's a UA78 GU either 1C or IC. I'm not sure about that. And VR4 is the minus 5 volt regulator. That's an LM320MP. So that's the 4 regulators for the power supply that's in this unit. Also, I found out that even though this has an on-off switch on the game, you do not want to leave the power transformer plugged into a live socket. You want to always plug it into a power strip where you can cut the power strip on and off. Because even when the game is off, if you got power at the socket where the transformer is plugged in, it's always energized and it will run hot. And I believe it also still puts AC voltage into the power supply, and I believe it energizes those big capacitors over there. So it's a bad idea to leave this plugged in. Always put it on a switched power circuit so that you can cut the power off when you're not using it. And then you don't have to even worry about the on-off switch. Just leave it on all the time and flip it on and off with a power strip. That's what I found out in the research. Okay, I'm going to put this back together real quick, and we'll give it a try. All right. We have it back together again. Ah, yes. All right, let's get this stuff out the way here. All right, let me get set up and we'll fire it up and we'll see if this thing is going to work. Okay, well, I got it all set up here. So let me power everything up. Let's see. Let's power up the monitor. And let's power up the VCR. Okay, VCR on channel 3. Game system is on channel 3. Let's power up the Astrocade. And there we go. It's working. All right. Now let's give this a proper test real quick. And we'll keep an eye on it as we're playing it and see if we get any overheating. And I'll be able to feel it right here to see if we got any heat buildup. Now I don't have any game cartridges for this. I wish I did. I've been looking on eBay. They got a few on there. They seem to be kind of pricey. They seem to run anywhere from right around $20, and it got some unbelievable that goes up to $400. I don't know what that's all about. They do have somebody on it that's selling a modified cartridge that has a ZIF socket on it, and they're selling the ROM chips out of the cartridges to where you can just put the chips in. You can also go to a website and download the ROMs and burn your own ROMs. So I could go that route. They do also have a multi-cart that's about $120. That's supposed to have every game ever made for it. It's got dip switch settings on it, the way you flip the dip switches to change the games. Could go that route. Let me know in the comments, what would you do? Would you rather have individual games, cartridges? Would you like to have the multi-cart? Or would you rather have that ZIF socket cartridge to where you could burn your own games on ROMs, and all you got to do is put the ROMs in? So let me know in the comments, what do you think I should do? I want to get more games for this. I kind of like the idea of collecting the original games, but then again, that can get kind of pricey, and it's not like I'm going to sit down and play this all the time. So okay, I did find out a little bit about how this operates. I don't know everything about it yet. I'm still learning. It's been a long time since I played one. Like I said, a buddy of mine, his name is Wade, he had one of these back in the day, back when I had an Atari 2600. So these were kind of out at the same time as the Atari 2600. And I guess they were kind of competition, although I don't think Bally or the company that was distributing these really marketed it like they should have. But anyway, that's for another discussion. Okay, now you can either hit the keypad, like 1 for gunfight, 2 for checkmate, 3 for calculator, or 4 for scribbling. Or you can use the controller. Now this is number 2 controller, and it does work. The number 1 controller, I got to take it apart because the trigger button doesn't work. The pot on this one was a little flaky, but I've been using it quite a bit, and it's calmed down a little bit, and it works fairly well, but it still needs a shot of deoxit. So when I pull the other one down to figure out what's wrong with the trigger button, I'll go ahead and pull this one down too, and we'll go through that. If you want to see that, I'll make a separate video for it. There are already a couple videos on YouTube about repairing these Bally controllers, but you know, I got to do it anyway, so I might as well film a video. If you want to see it, let me know, and maybe we'll do that next. Okay, so what you do is you pull the trigger button, hold the trigger button, and you turn the pot. Because I think that's how it goes. Oh, duh. I haven't plugged the controller back in. Remember, I unplugged it when I went to put it back together. Yeah. All right, we're going to plug it into controller number 1. When I put a cap kit in this and pull the board down, I have to take the RF shield off the bottom. I'm going to go through it too and check for cold solder joints and resolder all the pin connectors and everything, so don't worry about that. We'll take care of that too. Okay, let's try it again. Now I think we should do it. pull the trigger button, and you see the number 9 down there. Well, we rotate it, and we want number 1. Hit the trigger button again, and that'll choose gunfight. Enter maximum score. Once again, you pull the trigger, and you turn the pot, and it goes up to how many scores you want to get. So, still a little touchy here. Let's do 10. All right, and here we go. And as you can see, I'm controlling the guy on the left, the blue guy. And you can see the gun is aiming. I can go down, I can go up, I can go back, and I can go forward. All right, so this is pretty easy right here. You got your gun straight. Just shoot underneath the little tree there. Whoops, got to go a little lower. And this is gunfight. Yeah. Now with 2 players, you know, and you got the second player moving around, and you know, it make it a little better, you know. But it's not much with 1 player, you know. That's just the nature of the beast. Well, right now we're just playing it to see if it's going to overheat on us. It may not. May be fine. Now, some people swear that RF shield that I put back on, some people swear that you need to take that off, that'll make it run cooler. Some people tell you, no, leave it on. That'll keep it cooler. So, you know, everybody's got an opinion, and you know what opinions are like. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think that removing that shield will make it run cooler? Or do you think the shield should stay on? Most people that I've read that talk about this, they say if you got one and it works, don't mess with it. And that's good to go by. Okay, that's the end of gunfight. So far, so good. All right, push the trigger again, goes back to the menu. All right, now let's do checkmate. Now, I was thinking for some reason checkmate was a chess game. It's not. I'd forgot all about this, and I'd like I say, I played it back in the day. So let's do number 2. And number of games, let's keep it low. Let's just do 4 games. And I'm going to press it again. Number of players, well, only 1 player, so I'm going to hit 1 player, and I'll be player number 1. This system does have 4 ports, so 4 people can play. So this is a true 4-player game. If you had 4 controllers and 4 people can actually play this game. And this game is a pretty fun game, be honest with you. Even with 1 person, you're playing the computer. So it's still a pretty fun game. All right, some of you already know what it is. Some of you may not. See if you look at the game and what does it remind you of. I'm the guy in the lower left corner. That's me. Does this remind you of something? Kind of reminds you of Tron light cycles. I messed up. No, I didn't. I won. The object of the game, of course, is to see who can outlast the other one without running into a wall. Ah, I messed up. That's a pretty good start. But I boxed myself in. Okay, I managed to outlast them. Okay, I won again. All right, that was the game over. I'm number 1, I got a 10. Number 2 got 1, 3 got 4, and 4 got 9. So I won that game. Okay, so far so good. It's not heating up. It doesn't even, just barely feels a little warm there. Okay. Next, let's do number 3. Checkmate. No, that ain't what I wanted to do. Calculator. Okay, this is exactly what it says, a calculator. Now these buttons, even though they're fairly good, they still kind of jump and double hit sometimes. So let's see if I can do it here. 12, that's pretty good. Seems like the more I use them, the better they get. 12 times 12 equals 144. Okay. Look at there, it's starting to overheat. Yep, it just overheated. See how the graphics are doing right there? That's the sure sign of it overheating. So I'm going to cut it off. It doesn't really feel hot right there. Now last night I was out here messing with it, and I let it run and run and run, and I tried to get it to do this and it wouldn't do it. Alright, let me cut it back on. Well, let's see how long it takes to mess up again. While we're doing it, let's go to number 4, scribbling. Okay, scribbling is an art program. And if you put 0, the number of players, it draws like a kaleidoscope. It just draws random patterns. So let's let this go and see if it starts to heat up real quick. And if it does, then I'll pull the cover back off and we'll get out the can of freeze spray and see if we can't locate what's causing it to overheat. Like I say, a lot of people have been saying, yeah, it has overheating problems, but nobody has ever said what is the cause of it overheating, what component actually overheats. Is it the custom chips overheating, or is it that 10-volt voltage regulator? And what's happening when it overheats? Is it breaking down and not supplying enough voltage? Is it losing the 10 volts? Or is it going the other way and putting more than 10 volts onto it? If that's the case, then that will damage the custom chips if it's going over the 10 volts. It won't damage them if it's going under the 10 volts. It just won't operate. So that's what I'm trying to figure out here. Because nowhere in the reading, and I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of research on the internet about this Bally system, nobody has ever said what component overheats to cause the problem. And the only thing they say about fixing it is some people put it on a laptop cooling plate or table or whatever. It's got fans under it that blows air in it. Some people have put fans in it. Some people remove that RF shield. Okay, you can see it starting to frizzle out already. That is a typical overheating problem. All right. So, here we go again. Let's pull this thing apart and see what we can figure out. Oh, look at that. It come up with the menu screen without having to hit the reset. Okay. Let's go ahead and put it back in scribbling. Set it to 0. And let's let it do its thing. And while it's doing its thing, let me see if I can get my thermometer. I think it's in here. Yeah. And we'll see how hot the chips are getting and what other components, whatever they're going to do. Already that heat sink on that 10-volt regulator is right at 109 degrees. The custom data chip is right at 95 degrees. Custom I/O chip is running about 98 degrees. And the custom address chip that's running about 112 degrees. It's 120 degrees on that 10-volt regulator. (92.5 degrees on this other one. Let's see, which one was that? It's the 15-volt regulator. 15-volt regulator is running about 93 degrees. The tip, I think 32 transistor is running about 70, 71. And the 5-volt regulator is running about 93 degrees. But that 10-volt regulator, ooh, I seen 142 there for a second. It's still not messing up, but we have it in the open air right now. Down near the bottom of the heat sink is running about 100 degrees, but up here at the top it's running 123. This one over here is running 102. Custom data chip running about 114. Definitely too hot to touch. The capacitor next to that hot voltage regulator, that's showing it's running about 92 degrees on the side opposite from the regulator. And the regulator right next to the capacitor is showing 95, 96 degrees. And the capacitor is showing hotter than the regulator. I wonder if that capacitor is shorted. That capacitor is C62 15 microfarad at 25 volts. All right, all these other regulators are running right around 100, 102 degrees, but that 10-volt regulator is up to 150 degrees right there. 156. Okay, data chip is running around 116 degrees. The RF module's not even warm. It uses 10 volts too, but I don't think that's a problem. The address chip is running right around 100 degrees. The address chip is running around 117. See, it's not overheating now. All right. Put this back down in place. See if that has an effect on it. It's not hot on the bottom. And it's still running the program. See if it gets hot with the keypad down over top of it. It'll sure trap a little bit more heat in there. I definitely feel the heat right there, but if it would just do it so I could hit it with that freeze spray to see if that's the cause of it. Okay, I'm going to cut the cameras off and I'm just going to sit here and wait and see what happens. Be back if anything changes. Okay, well last night the battery died in my main camera, so I decided to quit for the night and come back fresh today. So what we need to do is figure out what's wrong, what is causing this system to overheat. And I suspect that it's the 10-volt regulator overheating. Now, this is the heatsink that is on that regulator. I pulled it off. It's just a push-on heatsink. And that's it. So this regulator, of course, is an LM342P10. So it's in a TO202 case, not a TO220, like most voltage regulators we're familiar with are. So in other words, see if I can get a picture of it here. Here is the regulator, and if you look at it, the tab comes out of the center of the regulator. So it doesn't have a flat back that like a normal, like a 7800 series in a TO220 case has. So the heatsink has to fit on this tab, and the way this is right here, it slides down, and the body of the chip is in between the two little tabs on the heatsink. And if you look, it's not very much area of the heatsink that actually contacts that tab. So I don't think it's a very good design and not a very good heatsink. But I don't have anything else to put on it. But in order to help speed up things, I went ahead and took the heatsink off. That way we're going to fire this thing back up, and I have my voltmeter here, and I have it connected to pin 40 of one of the custom chips here. Happens to be the custom address chip. Pin 40 is the VCC, which powers the chip, and that is the 10 volt line, so it gets its power from that 10 volt regulator. So what I want to find out is what's happening when the system goes bonkers. Is the regulator putting too much voltage to the chips, or is it not putting enough voltage? You know, I want to find out what's going on and find for sure once and for all if the regulator is what's wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and fire it up. Turn on the voltmeter here. Okay. And yeah, set for DC volts. So we're going to monitor the voltage, and we can also monitor the temperature while we're looking at the picture on the monitor. So let's go ahead and turn the game on. Okay, we got the game on. So now we got right at 9 volts, 9.03. And this is supposed to be a 10 volt regulator, but it is under load. But now look at it. It's steadily going down. 8.75, 8.60, 8.50. So it's dropping voltage, okay? Why is it dropping voltage? It's because it's heating up. And it is already up to 130 degrees. And there it goes. It just went out and the voltage is dropping down. It's going on down to nothing. It's under 3 volts now. So the voltage regulator is wigging out. Okay, does that mean it's bad, or is it just overheating? Well, since it's only reading 9 volts, it's supposed to be a 10 volt regulator, I'm going to say that regulator is bad. I don't have any, and I tried to find the chart, the data sheet on it, and I can find a data sheet for the LM342 series. I think it's a Fairchild semiconductor, but they only list the P15, a P5, and one other. I can't think, but they don't list the 10 volt regulator. So this was probably something that was discontinued quite a number of years ago. Now, I did look on eBay, and I did find some on eBay, so I went ahead and placed an order because I was anticipating this to be bad. Now, I do have 2 other units that I can rob the old regulator out of, but they're the same age this is, so rather than do that, I'm just going to go ahead and put a new one in, even though it's an old one, new old stock more than likely. And I'm going to go ahead and order a cap kit for it. So, because in order to put it in, I'm going to have to take the RF shield off the bottom. So, going through all that, I might as well just go ahead and do the cap kit and change that regulator all at the same time. So, when I get the parts in, I'll come back, I'll install them, and we'll do another test, and we'll find out if that was the actual problem, if we still have an overheating problem. I'm going to try to find some type of heat sink for this, but it's kind of close quarters in there, and this might be the only option. It looks like it's, if you look at the edges here, it looks like aluminum, but it looks copper on the outer edge, so I guess it could be a copper cladded aluminum. Is that such a thing? Can you copper clad aluminum? I don't know. I'm wondering if you could solder to this. I could take some thick copper wire and solder a couple pieces of wire and sort of bend them around to sort of add to the add a little bit of metal to it to maybe it'll dissipate a little more heat. I don't know. We'll give it a try. So All right, well, I'm going to look over my videos that I've already took on this, and if it looks like it's getting kind of long, I may end this video right here and make this part 1. So part 2, we'll come back, install a cap kit, install a new 10-volt regulator, and we'll test it all over again and find out if we fix it. So until then, this has just been another arcade fix. Well, kind of, anyway.